Your brain isn't broken. It's deliberately downshifting to avoid damage. Your brain isn't lost in fog. It's being throttled. This morning, did you sit down to do something important, only to completely forget what it was? That thought, that intention, just evaporated into thin air. Gone. Like it never existed. Or maybe you were in a meeting. Someone asked you a direct question, and your mind went completely blank. That word you needed was right there on the tip of your tongue. But it wouldn't come out. You're not alone. Right now, millions of people around the world are experiencing the exact same thing. We call it brain fog, and most people assume it's just sleep deprivation, too much stress, or simply the inevitable price of getting older. But here's what nobody's telling you. What if none of that is actually true? What if the real cause is something completely different? I see it differently. I'm a software engineer who develops medical precision measurement devices, blood glucose monitors, ketone meters. I design the actual algorithms and principles behind these instruments. This isn't theoretical for me. I wear a continuous glucose monitor on my own body every single day, managing myself through real data, real numbers, real patterns. From this engineering perspective, brain fog isn't your fault. It's not a character flaw. It's not laziness. It's a system error. More precisely, your brain is currently in a throttled state. You know how your laptop or phone forcibly reduces performance when it overheats? The processor slows down to prevent damage. That's throttling. Your brain is doing the exact same thing right now. It's overloaded, overwhelmed, so it's deliberately slowing itself down to survive. Why is this happening? Let's really think about the environment we're living in. Infinite scrolling that never ends, notifications pinging every few minutes, emails, texts, social media, all demanding immediate attention, multitasking everything, all at once, all the time. Our brains were absolutely not designed for this. The human brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to focus deeply on one thing at a time. Hunt the animal, gather the berries, build the shelter. One task, complete focus. But now, we're forcing our ancient brains to act like traffic routers at a busy intersection. Instead of actually processing information deeply, your brain spends all its energy just sorting, categorizing, and redirecting the endless flood of data coming in. This is cognitive bandwidth depletion. Your mental processing capacity is perpetually maxed out, running at 100% all day, every day. It's exactly like a smartphone with dozens of apps running in the background. You only see one thing on the screen. Maybe you're just checking the weather, but behind the scenes, 50 other processes are fighting for resources. Your battery drains in 3 hours. That's your brain right now. Here's the part that should genuinely concern you. This isn't just feeling tired. This isn't something a good night's sleep will fix. If this state persists, if it becomes your norm week after week, month after month, it actually changes the biochemical structure of your brain, physically, measurably. How does it change? Let me walk you through the cascade. When our brain tries to process information non-stop, never getting a real break, the body interprets this as a threat, as danger. The sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, stays activated. Stress hormones like cortisol keep pumping into your bloodstream. And when you're in this chronic stress state, something very specific happens to your metabolism. Your blood sugar goes on a wild roller coaster, up and down, spike and crash, up and down again. I wear a continuous glucose monitor, and I've documented this pattern extensively on myself. On stressful days, on days with heavy multitasking and constant context switching, my glucose graph tells a completely different story than calm days. I see frequent sharp spikes, followed by dramatic crashes. And here's the critical insight. When this glucose roller coaster repeats day after day, insulin signaling gets distorted. Your cells become less responsive, and your brain, which is incredibly glucose hungry, stops being able to absorb fuel properly. It's starving, even when there's food available. And there's another silent problem developing: low-grade chronic inflammation. Sustained stress creates subtle inflammation throughout your entire body. It's not the kind you can see or feel directly, but it's there, constantly simmering. When this inflammation crosses into your brain, and it does, neural transmission efficiency plummets. Signals between neurons slow down. Thinking becomes laborious. Memories become hazy and unreliable. Words you've known your entire life suddenly won't come out of your mouth when you need them. But here's what I consider the real culprit: the deepest layer of this problem: mitochondria. Mitochondria are the power plants inside every single one of your cells. They produce ATP, the energy currency your body runs on. Here's the counterintuitive truth: people with brain fog don't actually lack energy. They don't need more fuel. Their energy conversion speed is impaired. The fuel is there, sitting ready, but the power plant is running sluggishly, inefficiently. In biochemistry, this processing limit is called Vmax, maximum velocity, the ceiling on how fast your cellular machinery can work. If your mitochondrial Vmax has dropped, it doesn't matter how well you eat. It doesn't matter if you sleep 10 hours. Your brain physically cannot operate at full speed. The hardware is bottlenecked. And finally, there's BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as your brain's growth hormone, its renovation crew. BDNF creates new neural connections, strengthens existing ones, and most importantly, resets old dysfunctional patterns. It's what allows your brain to adapt, learn, and recover. When there's chronic inflammation and metabolic rigidity, BDNF production gets suppressed, blocked. Your brain loses its ability to reset. Instead of clearing the error, it incorporates the error state as the new normal. That's exactly why brain fog becomes a habit: being foggy, being slow, being forgetful. It becomes your baseline. Your brain literally forgets what clarity feels like. So what do we do about it? Here's where most advice completely fails you. Most people think they just need to rest more, take a vacation, or maybe pop some supplements, some lion's mane, some omega-3s. I'm not saying those things are bad, but I approach this problem fundamentally differently. Rest by itself isn't the solution. Supplements aren't the fundamental fix. Brain fog is an engineering problem, a systems problem. You need to redesign the entire system, not just patch the symptoms. Let me share the protocol I've personally tested on myself and found genuinely effective. Phase 1 is input throttling. This must come first. Before you can increase your processing capacity, you absolutely must reduce input volume. You cannot optimize a system that's actively being overwhelmed. Turn off notifications for at least 1 hour each day. Better yet, several hours. Delete infinite scroll apps entirely, or at minimum set strict time limits. Give your brain actual room to breathe, to process what's already there. This simple change alone will free up significant cognitive bandwidth. You'll notice the difference within days. Phase 2 is restoring the metabolic switch. Here's something most people don't realize. Our brain doesn't only run on glucose, it can run beautifully on ketones too. In fact, many neuroscientists consider ketones to be cleaner, more efficient fuel for the brain, less oxidative stress, more stable energy. The problem? Most modern people have metabolically rigid systems, completely dependent on glucose, unable to switch fuel sources. Through intermittent fasting or low-carb eating, you can train your body to produce ketones again. When this metabolic flexibility returns, your energy supply stabilizes dramatically. Those brain crashes, those afternoon slumps, they decrease significantly. Phase 3 is increasing mitochondrial Vmax, getting more output from the same fuel. This is where strategic exercise becomes crucial. High-intensity interval training, HIIT, is particularly effective. It increases your mitochondrial count and improves the efficiency of existing mitochondria. Cold exposure helps tremendously too. Cold showers, cold plunges if you have access. They're a powerful stimulus for mitochondrial activation. Your cells literally wake up. Phase 4 is triggering BDNF, reactivating that growth factor so your brain can finally enter a reset-capable state. The most effective way to boost BDNF is aerobic exercise, specifically Zone 2, cardio, moderate intensity where you can still hold a conversation, for 30 minutes or more, done consistently. Fasting also elevates BDNF significantly. Novel learning, new experiences, unfamiliar challenges. These all stimulate BDNF production too. Execute these 4 phases in order, with patience and consistency, and brain fog transforms. It stops being a permanent condition you're stuck with. It becomes a temporary system glitch, fixable, resettable. You get your mind back. I've walked through this entire process myself. As a single person living alone, working full-time, coming home exhausted every evening with a foggy head, just wanting to mindlessly scroll through my phone until I fell asleep. That state was becoming my default, my normal, and honestly, it terrified me when I realized what was happening to my brain. But when I stopped framing it as a willpower problem, when I stopped blaming myself for being lazy or undisciplined, and started treating it as what it actually is, a systems problem, everything changed. I rebuilt the structure. I fixed the inputs. I optimized the biology, and the fog lifted. Here's the truth I want you to carry with you from this video. You're not failing because you lack willpower. You're failing because you lack structure. The system is broken, not you. Your brain isn't damaged. It isn't declining permanently. It's just running on settings that don't match your current environment. It's optimized for a world that no longer exists. Change the settings, redesign the structure, give your biology what it actually needs, and your brain will find its speed again. I've seen it in my own data. I've felt it in my own life, and you can too. If this video helped you see things differently, please subscribe and hit the like button. In my next video, I'll show you the actual continuous glucose monitor data I collect every single day. We'll analyze which foods spike your glucose, which ones keep it stable, and how that directly maps to mental clarity and focus. Real data, real insights, real solutions. See you in the next one.